So an explicit wait is code that you write to wait for some specific condition to happen before proceeding. One of the simplest ways to do an explicit wait is to use a thread.sleep. Thread, and then you of course need to import system.threading, and then you can do thread.sleep, and then you can set a time span in if you want to do milliseconds. Let's say we want to do 1000 milliseconds, which is obviously 1 second. This right here is an explicit wait because you're writing code that tells the system to wait for a specific condition, in this case to wait for 1 second. This is the worst kind of an explicit wait, and it should actually never be used. Well, that's not true. It should only be used in situations whenever you actually need to wait. So for example, if you click a button and then some action is supposed to happen 30 seconds or 40 seconds after your button click, then you can use a thread.sleep. However, it should never be used to wait for an element to actually load. The other type of an explicit wait you can have is, again, another example of writing code is like this. For example, here we're navigating to this hidden element URL. Then we're using a WebDriver wait class that comes from Selenium namespace. Don't worry about this right now. We'll cover this more in detail. And using the WebDriver wait class, we write a link query that will wait until we find an element of this ID. So this will continuously poll the DOM to see if this condition becomes true. Let me show you exactly what I mean here. So I'm going to go ahead and debug this and show you exactly what's happening. This is another example of an explicit wait because it's code that we wrote to wait for a specific condition. In this case, whether the element is found. We could wait to see whether the element is displayed. We could wait to see whether the element is visible, whether there is text in an element or something like that. So here we have the two elements, the two pages side by side, and you know that on this page it's the hidden element URL, which means the element is there but it's hidden. And so now what we're going to do here is step over this action, step over, and you can see it'll throw an exception, no such element. But then it comes back and does it again. Every half a second, it will continue to poll to see if the element is there. And after our specified timeout that we set, which was 20 seconds, if it has not found that element, it will throw a WebDriver timeout exception, saying that timed out after 20 seconds because the element is not there. So that's code that I wrote telling Selenium Webdriver to wait for a specific condition on a specific element. Now, this way is good, but a little bit burdensome. Luckily for us, Selenium has created a very convenient way to perform these kind of operations. And that's called expected conditions. And I'm going to show you that to you next.